My name is Tammy Anderson. I'm the Executive Director Treasurer of Mississippi Women's Ministries and WMU. You are listening to a Mississippi Baptist Convention Board production.
All right, thanks for joining us back on the podcast, the Mississippi Baptist Around the Table podcast. John, you know how long we've been doing this podcast?
I heard last week 156 episodes or something like that.
156 episodes? I don't know the exact number. Did we talk about that last week?
Yeah, because we introduced the podcast to a pastor who didn't know we did one, and he said, man, there are 156 of these things. I was like, yeah, I know, I've lived them.
I've lived them. It's been a fun journey, and here we are in June of 2025, John. Can't believe it. Yep. And today we have a special guest. I know you click on a podcast title so you know what we're talking about, or maybe you have subscribed to the podcast and it just rolls through your playlist of podcasts on your favorite platform. But today we have Mike Lazenby with us. He is with IMB, and his specific title, he can correct me if I'm wrong, is Church Mobilization Strategist of the Gulf Region. I'm getting a thumbs up. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll bring him in just a minute, but we do want to talk about some upcoming events, but really impact training in August. So
yeah.
John?
So we've been doing impact training for, this is our fifth year maybe. And so this year, our focus is on making an impact or engaging your community. And so we've got several different breakouts about engaging in your community. So breakout for lay leaders, for pastors, for staff, preschool leaders, children's leaders, student leaders, small group leaders, or Sunday school, depending on what
Most
you call
of the
it.
staff.
So
Yeah.
and lay people as well. So if you teach Sunday school, there's a breakout leader. There's a breakout time for you as well. So I want to encourage you to be there. There are 5 of them this year.
That's right.
You want to go through them?
We start in Philadelphia. First Baptist Philadelphia on August 7th, and these are all 5:15 to 8:30.
Yep,
so
that's right.
Most people arrive around 5. If you get there at 5:30, that's fine too, but it'll conclude around 8:30 each night. So First Baptist Philadelphia on August 7th. August 11th, North Greenwood. August 12th, we'll be in Tupelo at First Baptist Tupelo. The 18th, First Baptist Laurel. You're doing good, John.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah.
August 19th, First Baptist Natchez will be our final stop. And the 5 locations, as you picked up, are all around the state. So we hope you can find that in your closest neighborhood around the state. And there's different panelists, different breakout leaders at each location.
Yeah, and they're all local guys, pastors, local leaders, and so it's going to be a good time. Hope you'll register. You need to register, and
right.
If you don't register 1 week before, you're not guaranteed dinner. So you want to go ahead and register for those events so you make sure that you have dinner. And I'm sure Tanner's going to put a registration link in the show notes below, wherever below is.
And our wonderful guest here is going to make an appearance in Mississippi in August. He'll be at the Equipping Leaders event on August 22nd.
That's right.
Camp
That's
Garrett.
right.
Yep. All right, Mike, how you doing, brother?
Doing well. Honored to be on the 157th.
Well, look,
We got to confirm that.
yeah, don't take that number for sure, but something like that.
Thanks, brother.
If you weren't on the 157th, you should have been. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Hey, I'll take any number I can get, guys.
That's right.
But it is your second time, so quite an honor there.
I'm honored to be invited back. I don't know what that says about you guys to have me back, but honored to be back.
That's funny. So, all right, Mike, I know some folks in Mississippi have already met you before, but I'm going to go on a limb and just assume a lot of us haven't met Mike yet. So tell us a little bit about your missions background. I know you've served overseas before.
Yeah, no, I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, and never had any intention of doing missions in any sort, especially in a full-time capacity. But after my wife and I got married, I was working as an engineer. She in the health sciences field. I got invited to do some cross-cultural ministry here in Birmingham. And as a result of that and some mission trips, ended up being appointed through the International Mission Board overseas in 2009. We served in Vienna, Austria, working among post-Christians there, and was there until our sending church called us back, asked us to be their missions pastor. Still get to be here in the same town, but I'm working now in this IMB role. So it's been a bit of a journey, but here we are, and wouldn't change anything.
What year did you come back?
So we got back in the summer of 2019, just in time for COVID the next year, which was a lot of fun in what felt like a new country. But we joked that we would have been trapped inside a little bitty apartment in total lockdown had we still been in Vienna. So this was the Lord's way of making sure our family survived.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, Chad McCord here. Just, as
we forgot to introduce you, Chad.
Hey, Chad's here.
I can do it myself. I'm capable.
My bad. Hey, brother, how you doing down there?
Hey, yeah. So, I just snuck in this podcast. I really wasn't invited.
Anything missions, Chad's always at the table.
I smelled it. Yeah. All right. But, hey, so now you're with the IMB, and Tanner talked about your position with the IMB earlier. What does that mean to represent Mississippi? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I don't know that I'd use the word represent as much as I get to serve the state, meaning I get to go into a pastor's office, get to know him, or a church leader's office, get to know them. And as they talk about where they are as a church, some of the things they're wanting to do, I get to be a resource to them as to ways that we as the International Mission Board and as Southern Baptist churches can partner together to get to the nations, understanding that it's a world covered in lostness, unfortunately. And so as Southern Baptist churches, I'm a resource to them. That looks different from church to church. There's no cookie cutter. I'm going to listen a lot, especially in the beginning, but then we're going to talk about some ways that we can help mobilize our people towards the nations.
Yeah, so our folks can kind of get an understanding, and that's good, because I know you're coming to serve in whatever capacity is needed. Can you just give some tangible examples of ways that you've been able to come alongside churches and to kind of assist them in their missions journey or wherever they're at?
Sure. Yeah. No. With some, we end up working on like an overall comprehensive strategy, but just in some very simple terms, I'll help churches connect with our field missionaries. Maybe there are some nearby that they can connect with. I help provide resources to them, whether that's printed resources, videos, statistics, things like that. I'll often speak in churches, or I'll help them find mission speakers that will come be there. Maybe that's attending a missions conference if they're wanting to do one of those. With some of your churches in Mississippi, I've done staff trainings or mission team trainings. It really just depends church to church. So that, it's going to look different, but those are some of the things I do. Really, I want to listen to the pastor and whatever he needs, or like say a missions team, whatever they need, whatever they're wanting to do, I kind of get to help them get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're not really a mobilizer. You're more of a background, build the strategy, get you started in missions, right?
Correct. I'm not going to be the one that kind of walks with a potential missionary all the way through until he or she is appointed. I'm not that guy. I'm going to be the one that kind of, like you say, behind the scenes is giving advice, is sharing some best practices, is helping resource churches, that sort of thing. Not the candidate guy that's going to walk them all the way through. That guy is there in Mississippi as well. His name's Bobby Tenner. He's wonderful. He's a resource for the churches as well.
So you sit down in a pastor's office and he says, we give to Lottie Moon, we give to the cooperative program, but I want to see our people partner with the IMB beyond just giving to Lottie Moon and CP. What's your advice?
Yeah, well, first I would tell them thanks for giving to those two, to Lottie and cooperative. None of this happens without that, and we as the International Mission Board certainly recognize that, so I would start with thanks. But in terms of next step, I would want to help connect them to some of the field personnel. I tell pastors all the time, if you want to get your people really fired up, just put them in a room with our personnel. Mm-hmm. They get to know them. They get to hear about the work. They realize this is actually happening. This isn't just a video on a screen. This isn't just, a story they're reading about. So I would want to connect them pretty quickly, and I'm not going to tell them where. I ask pastors to pray over a where and to pray over a type of work. Churches are gifted differently. They have all sorts of gifts within their congregation. So as a pastor looks at his and says, I have a lot of this type of people, I would want to help them find personnel that were doing that type of work. So that field connection is one of the strongest ways to get started, without a doubt.
Yeah. So sorry, this is my last question, Chad. So we were together last week, and there was a presentation made. I don't want to put you on the spot, so if you don't have this presentation,
He's
that's
ready.
okay. But
He's always ready.
there was a presentation made about, and I want to get this right, different types of church partners. I think is the way that it was phrased. It may not have been phrased exactly like that. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He sounded so confident on that answer.
You're not talking about his presentation.
I don't remember who made it.
Oh,
I saw
okay.
so much, man.
Keep going, John. Keep going, John.
But there was the church that was I guess just the surface level. Prayer's not surface level, but you know what I'm saying. And then it kind of grew. It grew from that. Can you talk about the different types of church partnerships? I guess is my question.
Yeah, no. So we do. We talk about that. We have churches, and we're very thankful for churches that will pray and they'll give and kind of from afar say, you know what, we're about missions, and look, we're giving to this. We're praying for these missionaries, but there's not that necessarily personal connection. And like I say, want to always say thankful to every Southern Baptist church that prays and that gives. We do not take that for granted. We also talk some about churches that it becomes more of a focus through all of their ministries, and their missions focus is bleeding into ministries like children's ministry or student ministry or senior adult or anything in between. So we talked about just kind of a strategic focus church as well that are going to do things like praying and giving and going and sending and be intentional about that. Again, hear me say thank you to all of these churches. We're just talking about some different things each church is doing.
Yeah. So I think a lot of times when people think about missions, first of all, they think short-term missions, and so volunteer teams from churches that go and hopefully partner alongside some of our IMB folks overseas. There's a lot of different ways of doing that, and that's awesome. But also, we think about those who are called out to go and to be possibly, even for a couple of years, maybe career missionaries. And we kind of think about those people, okay, they're going to be just master evangelist, master at storytelling and those kind of things, or a master teacher, that kind of. But I've seen some of the social media that IMB is putting out lately about different backgrounds of people, maybe different professions that they're coming from. Would you share more about who the IMB is looking for and what their backgrounds can look like? Do they have to be like on staff at a church? Like who are you looking for from the IMB to come and serve?
Oh, goodness. No, we're looking for anyone. It's really fun the way the Lord uses each of our backgrounds and puts us in places that he wants us. For instance, we've used everything from a nurse to a pharmacist to a researcher, accountant, coach, engineer, all of these different things. We certainly use pastors as well, but dentists, farmers, all of these different career paths, if you will, can be used to get the gospel and engage lostness around the world. There is not really any sort of career that would disqualify you, and the Lord can use all of those, and we can thankfully send missionaries that do all of those things. I had never held a position in a church when we left. I had never done really any sort of official church capacity role, but they let me go. If they let me go, they'll let anybody go, right?
You were an engineer, right?
I was. And my wife was, she did research in a lab trying to help find cures for cancer. So neither one of us came from a religious degree background or anything like that. It just, what the Lord's looking for is a willing spirit. And we had one of those, and he was able to use us a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think from my experience when we served overseas, my wife and I had education backgrounds. Now, we knew we were going to the mission field, but we chose not to have. We chose to have a secular degree as well.
Yeah.
The beauty of that is because much of the world now is closing as far as having access to be a missionary on a missionary visa in countries, we really need people with professional degrees, so to speak, to be able to access some of these places with the gospel. So, yeah, I think exactly what you're talking about here. That's what we need. Is we need more people to have professions, and they add to the work there. You think about engineers in places where they're drilling wells and things for access to water, to get access to villages to share the gospel with them. It's really awesome to have that.
And there was one position we talked about in some of our conversations recently is the Mississippi farmer, right? So even farmers can make a difference overseas, because that could be an inroad into the country that we can't be in.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And we need, even there again, I mentioned things like accountants and people with business backgrounds that can help us logistically around the world. And they would go to a certain area of the world and they would help serve, again, in a logistical way that helps keep all the other missionaries on the field, so that truly every conceivable gift that someone has, we can use around the world.
Yeah, and would you kind of speak to the fact? I think there's another segment of our in our churches that don't realize that they have an opportunity to serve, and that is those who've maybe recently retired or in their retirement years. There's a huge pathway that the IMB has for that. Would you explain a little bit more about that and what the IMB is looking for those kind of folks who may be in their retirement years?
Yeah, and it's fun because the Lord has gifted through Southern Baptist churches the IMB a way to send out people of all age groups.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned this, we call it the Master's Pathway. It's been reopened for people 55 years and up. It's a 2-year commitment, fully funded, but these guys would go be part of our teams and contribute to the work in a very tangible way. Those guys are so good on our teams in that they're wise, by and large. They're very mature, but they can give our teams, allow us to get access to segments of society that maybe the 30-something missionary can't get to. So that we love having that age demographic there, so that truly, guys, from the time you turn 18 to beyond retirement years, there's a service pathway for you where you can go serve at least 2 years, even longer than that.
So we hear a lot, if you pay attention to Twitter and Baptist Press and that sort of thing, that the missionary pipeline right now is the largest it's been maybe ever. I don't know. But if someone is, say, like what Chad's talking about, they're retired or about to retire, or it's a college student who wants to do either Project 3000, which is something else we can talk about, or Journeyman, or it's a young family or that says, hey, I feel like God's calling us to the mission field. What is step one for those folks?
Yeah, no, there are several different ways they can kind of begin that appointment process. The easiest right off the bat would just be imb.org/go. And you can go, and as you scroll down, there's a button, you click Get Started, and you'll give them a little bit of information, and then you'll be called by our assessment deployment guys. Hey, let's talk a little bit more of this. I do always tell people, if you so much as think you're interested in doing something like that, go ahead and start that. You're not committing to, hey, I know with 1,000% certainty the Lord's sending me overseas. You're just starting a conversation. So you could do it that way. Come to one of our live events. Students especially have events around the state. I know you guys are always very kind to invite us to your stuff, and so talk to people there. You certainly can get in touch with me, and I'll put you in touch with Bobby, who I mentioned earlier. If you have questions and you're not sure what to do, fire an email to info@imb.org, info@imb.org. You can ask anything about anything there, and you'll get someone that will get in touch back with you and you can have another conversation. You like that? I see you smiling. You can ask anything about
I'm
anything.
just thinking, yeah. That could get interesting.
They may not answer it all.
Yeah.
The folks who work and answer those emails might not appreciate that, Mike.
They'll send them to Mike.
But no, all sorts of different ways you can get started on that.
Yeah.
And we'd love to talk to you about it.
That's good.
Hey, the last thing I want to mention, Chad, and I'll set this up and you can describe it how you want to, but there's an incentive now to working with IMB missionaries overseas through your office, correct? So how would you explain that to people right now?
Yeah, so
this is new, right? Yeah.
There's one aspect that's new.
Okay.
We've had for years a pathway essentially for churches to be able to tap into resources that come if you are a cooperative giving church, you give to CP and you give to Margaret Lackey. You got to give to those. There's monies we have available, and we've had those available for many years. But we've seen that we don't have a considerable amount of our churches don't work with IMB folks, which was kind of surprising. So we just increased that amount. Outside of the Americas, that's $750 a person up to 12 people. And it was $500, so an extra $250 for each church. And it's different in the Americas, but kind of gives you an idea that there are monies available for cooperative churches that want to make sure that their church members have monies to go on mission. So love to be able to help you. If you have any questions, just contact Missions Mobilization Office, and we'll help you out.
Yeah, thanks for plugging that, Chad. I just want to make sure we mention that. And then I'll conclude on, if you're catching this podcast relatively close to when we launch it, it's right before Dallas. And I know, Mike, you visit us at our Mississippi Baptist Fellowship at the conventions. I think this will be the 4th or 5th year, like we tried to summarize earlier. I think it's the 4th year of this, yeah.
4th year.
So if you want to meet Mike in person, you can see him in Dallas coming up here soon. And I know he'll be glad to meet you. And you already know a lot of Mississippi people in your time, so...
Yeah, no, I'm thankful. I've gotten to be at this role for a few years now, and have gotten to be able to meet a lot of your churches. Mississippi, you guys are first class in terms of the way your churches are mobilizing their people. So thankful for you guys. Yeah, I'll look forward to seeing you in Dallas.
Yeah, come to our fellowship, Mike. But I know you will. But if you're looking for Mike and you need to find him even sooner, he'll be around the IMB display area in the exhibit hall. So go look say, hey, where's Mike Lazenby? And they'll lead you to him. So
that's right.
So I asked ChatGPT how many episodes we've done.
Oh, no.
And it says as of May of 2025, the podcast Mississippi Baptist Round the Table has released approximately 155 episodes.
There you go.
The podcast is hosted by Jon Martin, Chief Strategy Officer, and Tanner Cade, Communications Director, and features discussions on ministry and church life across Mississippi.
Hey.
Pretty
there
good. If you don't trust that, though, just email info@imb.org.
You know what info@imb.org might tell you about that, though? They'd be like, that's really neat, given that last year our personnel worked in 155 different
There you go. Good job,
Good
Mike.
numbers.
Oh, man. That's fun. I don't know where to go with that, John, but that's all right, Mike, thanks so much for joining us. Look forward to seeing you in Dallas in a few days here. So appreciate you and everything at IMB. We'll email info@imb.org all of our thoughts. So.
Looking forward to it.
All right.
Looking forward to seeing you guys. Have a good one.
Yes, sir. See you, buddy. Goodbye.
Mississippi Baptist, thank you for listening to today's episode. My name is Tammy Anderson. I serve you as the Executive Director Treasurer of Mississippi Women's Ministries and WMU. The Women's Ministry WMU Department works to assist churches and associations to make disciples of Jesus who live on mission. We cover the following areas of ministry: enrichment ministry for women and girls, women's evangelism, missions discipleship for preschool and adults, mission support through offering promotion, missionary care, missions involvement through ongoing compassion ministries, camping and retreat ministries through the Garraway Camp and Conference Center. If you have any questions for our department, please email me at tanderson@mbcb.org or call 601-292-3323.